Be strong.
Well, a very, very happy Friday. Good morning to everyone here listening to the Throwing on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. I got a very, very big episode for you today, Friday, September 23rd. And hey, listen, fall time is here. A couple of things kind of are falling into place, and a couple of things are pushing into next week that I expect to be bigger. And, I went to bed last night. I tuned in. I was kind of frustrated because I couldn't tune in to the the Steelers and the Browns game. And this is all because of the controversy, not the controversy, but this is all because of the new deals that the NFL has made with things like making the deals with Amazon Prime. And, Amazon Prime is now hosting those Thursday night football games. And I try to tune into the NFL Network. I thought it was on the NFL Network. And all I was getting was the Dolphins and the Ravens game from last Sunday. So I was a little bummed that I couldn't check out Thursday night football. And it's one of I guess, call me an old fashioned spice, because I'm someone who wants to be able to have access to these simple games. And I have Hulu Live, and I was searching through the channels. I was searching it up on the search bar, and I just couldn't find the game. I was kind of very unsettled about that, so I was a little disappointed. Got a chance to watch a little bit of the Padres game between the Padres and the Cardinals. And then I also tuned in late last night to the Yankees and to the Red Sox. That was a really good game, by the way, and I was very impressed on how good of a game that the Red Sox pulled off and allowed the New York Yankees. And although, hey, I want to congratulate those New York Yankees for winning the clinching the playoff spot. I believe they officially won the American League East. Let me confirm that here with you guys. Judge was still not he came up with a very, very close home run, walk-off winning home run, to say the least. And so from my reading here, they have clinched the playoff berth in the East. They are about 6 games away from eliminating everyone else. Yankees are 91-58, and Toronto Blue Jays, who are behind them, are 84-66. So we will tune into that. There's a lot to pay attention to. There's a lot going on this weekend. But when you go down to the pennant race, it's not just about the teams right now going to the playoffs. I wasn't just tuning into the Padres and Cardinals because there's playoff implications. I was tuning to the Padres and the Cardinals because you kind of do want to be there. There's 2 home runs away from Albert Pujols hitting 700. And I think that's an ultimate statement if you have a guy that can hit 700 home runs to wrap up his career. You think about Adam Wainwright, you think about the Yadier Molina having the most starts as a catcher-pitcher duo, and then Albert Pujols joining the 700 club, which is a very rare thing. Alex Rodriguez never did that, so he'll be a part of a very special elective elite group of men. Obviously, there's a Hall of Fame case for all 3 men. There's no doubt about it, and regardless if they get into the Hall of Fame of MLB, they're going to most likely get into the Hall of Fame in Cincinnati, in St. Louis, and if not, I'm mostly guaranteeing you one of those three numbers will probably be retired here in the next decade. I wouldn't see why not. But I was tuning into the Padres and Cardinals game to watch Albert Pujols as at bat, and there was a one that almost went there but got caught off guard. And I wouldn't be remiss to say that, a little biased opinion that as a Padre fan that, hey, Albert Pujols doesn't have 69 and 70 or 698 and 9 and 700 um you know hit with the Padres. Good luck going on to whoever else you're going to be facing. I believe the Cardinals are headed up north to LA to face the Dodgers this weekend, and that's going to be a fun series to say the least. But then, you got the Red Sox and the Yankees. Aaron Judge trying to hit 61, tying Roger Maris a home run record on the season, and he comes up shy, and we have to wait another day. I mean, at least something came out of last night's game that was the Yankees clinching the playoff spot. So a lot of stuff going around in baseball today. We'll talk about the Milwaukee Brewers and Reds series, give you some highlights, and get you prepped up for the weekend. So you guys watched the NFL Thursday night football. What do you guys think? All right. I mean, I know out here on the East Coast, living close to Cincinnati, obviously we're paying close attention to this game, particularly on Thursday night football, and that's the Browns taking on the Steelers. But I want to know what you guys think. Did you guys, as a fan, enjoy Thursday night football? Are you guys as a unit, as one, right? Coming into week 3, was this a game that was getting you guys ready for this weekend and what's to come this weekend? All right, a segment that we're gonna do, that we're working on doing each and every Friday, is giving you our picks on just who we think is gonna win each and every game, each and every week. And I came in last night and I told you guys that, hey, I strongly believed that Mitchell Trubisky and the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be able to walk away with this one. Well, I think the score told you the story here. Pittsburgh lost 17 to 20. Sorry, I had the game pulled up. 17 to 29. The Browns go to 2-1. The Steelers go to 1-2. And as you sit as a Bengals fan, waiting for Sunday's game between the Jets and the Bengals, which we already talked about, and we'll talk more about how key this game is the Bengals need to win this game. It's kind of frustrating to watch, or to watch your division win, because you just don't want them to gain any more advantage over the AFC North than so as it is right now. So we'll talk a little bit about Thursday night football here coming up. I still have a lot to talk about, getting you guys ready for key games in NCAA football coming up this weekend. We'll give you some highlights from last week, get you some rankings that we didn't do back on Monday. Talk about some high school football, and I was to talk about some high school football. I really got a chance to sit down last weekend and really look at some of these local teams coming around. And there's a couple of key guys. I know Steve Barber from Armchair Booking presented to me. What's his name? And I have it all right in front of me, right? Western's Browns quarterback Drew Novak, who had a successful victory last week, 51-14 over Miami Trace. And he's been talking to me about Drew Novak for quite some time. So I really got a chance to sit down, talk with, read some of the stuff that Drew Novak has been put out there. I've gotten a chance to watch some highlights. Really like the kid. I'll talk a little bit more about him. But there was a special kid that really drawn my attention last weekend over at Covington Catholic High School. Covington Catholic beat the Beechwood beat Beechwood for a 31-14 last weekend, um, ending a 27 game win streak. And a lot of it had to do with this guy, William Rodriguez. He goes by Willie, junior, 6'4", 210, class of 24. He's a receiver and a linebacker, already getting opportunities and being looked at from scouts, from colleges. He played last weekend, 5 catches, 91 yards, 1 touchdown, first regional. And here, this is talking about a guy who is he has a versatile sport. He's very athletic. He's not just playing football. He was the first regional champion in the sport in 2021 and winning the state medal back in February with wrestling. Probably two of my favorite sports coming out. So some great high school football to talk about. We'll recap some of last week, some big key games. I'm kind of going through the list right now in between breaks about any more games coming up this week and each and every week. And I emphasized this strongly last week and the week before. When you have the when the Bengals are away, okay, and the Bearcats maybe not playing well, when the Reds aren't playing well, when your professional teams are just doesn't have what it takes, there's something for everyone to look forward to, where you look for this talent now or look for the future stars in tomorrow. You kind of want to look, you got to take a look from the professional league all the way down. Especially, I say high school league is a good place to start. And because you never know. You never know when one of these kids, they're going to get a scholarship. They may even not. They may be walk-ons. They may not even play a single day of of college. I mean, especially with the new basketball recruiting system. Now, you basically NBA, you're allowed to recruit guys coming out of college, 18, 19 years old. So if you're that good in high school, you may just very well be called up to the next Los Angeles Lakers or the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so, start your process looking down for high school athletes. And you're around the community. Yeah, you got the Bengals to cheer for. You got Kentucky. You got the Bearcats and the Reds, and but if you want to look even further, check out one of your high school local teams. It could be any local team. I'm following a couple of them myself, and just see what type of stars that they have, and see who could potentially make it to the next level, whether that's college or professional level. So we'll talk some high school football this morning. Like I said, kicking off a little late to the party here. Normally from 9 to 11, kind of, shits and giggles, slept in a little bit later, woke up at 9:05, and I'm like, crap, waited a whole nother hour. We got we're also going to talk a little bit about NHL as the preseason kicks off this weekend. Also getting you guys ready for SmackDown and Rampage. Don't forget the House of Black tonight, expected to take on Darby Allin and Sting at Rampage. The rest of Grand Slam week coming out of AEW. Coming out of AEW here, coming out of professional wrestling. You head into SmackDown tonight. Roman Reigns, Logan Paul, noted that they are going to be facing each other at Crown Jewel. But before we could get to Crown Jewel, we have to get to Extreme Rules, which is coming up here in just a few weeks. And so you have Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's going to be an exciting one, an Extreme Rules match. You have Seth Rollins taking on Matt Riddle in a fight pit match. And some other matches. And Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair will defend her title against Bayley. So with things starting to shape up, some stipulations starting to be made, what's gonna happen tonight on SmackDown? Because I mean, I mentioned this early on this week that, in my opinion, over the last few weeks, Monday Night Raw has been a much better product to watch, and that's just because when you look at SmackDown, they were facing the same storyline, same matches for weeks on out. Kind of reminds me of when Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler were facing each other week in and week out back in 2018. Okay, but then you also look into the bloodline. Well, they've already been established. The only thing that we're sitting around and waiting for now is for someone to dethrone them. So, other than something new and exciting worth to be mentioning on SmackDown, SmackDown right now is pretty set. Right now, all the eyes and all the attention is on Monday Night Raw because you have the Judgment Day, who is still growing, especially with the story with Dominic Mysterio. You also got the new encounter between AJ Styles and Finn Balor this past week. The United States was just defended. You have Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and also Bailey looking to completely capture that goal, just like what Toxic Attraction did back down at NXT. So there's a lot of new things coming up through Monday Night Raw that makes you want to, hey, I gotta tune back into this flagship show. So my question and my curiosity is what is SmackDown going to do tonight to kind of elevate themselves as that show that you want to tune in and watch next week? That's my key. That's my key image. All right, that's my key focus point. So we got a lot to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about Thursday Night Football coming up here in our program. We'll talk about the picks. Like I said, I'll give you the picks for the rest of the week, as well as MLB playoff race, Cincinnati Reds highlights, and getting ready into the weekend. And man, we're just kicking things off here on a Friday morning. So 10 to noon here, kicking you guys off and looking ready to get this day started. We got to step away, take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about Thursday Night Football and everything to come of it. Your impressions on the Browns and the Steelers. Thank you guys for listening to the Throwing with Justin right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Left it to the bank like left it to the bank like I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s. Left it to the bank like Alrighty, 924 here on the Throwing TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, Friday morning, taking you guys up until 12 o'clock. Yes, I know this is a different schedule than normal. I slept in, my mistake, but I had to come out here and give you some sort of program on a Friday. I missed last Friday. I felt terrible for missing last Friday. Really, just wasn't in in this mood or anything like that, and I really want to talk about some NFL football, especially everything that happened last night and everything that I expect to happen this week. So, that's why, hey, it's an hour later and I'll be fine. Hopefully you guys tune in and listen to it whenever you guys want to. But okay, so let me pull this up here. All right. Now, last week number 3, I predicted, all right, that the Pittsburgh Steelers last night was going to win the game. I'm a little disappointed that the Pittsburgh Steelers pulled off a loss, and it's not because they suck and they're no good or anything like that. It's just I think there's been a lot of things already happening in the first few weeks. And it's not, I don't know. I wouldn't go out on a limb and saying that there's anything special, especially about the AFC North, because, the Bengals are 0-2, and we really didn't expect them to be 0-2, and they really shouldn't be 0-2 with the players that they do have. I mean, especially the way that they finished off last season. And I say at this point, let's leave last season into last season. All right, let's just leave that how it is, and let's focus in on this season, because obviously there have been trades, there have been injuries, this and that, and we need to focus in on just what's happening in week number 3 of the NFL. Now, coming into last night's game, both the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns were 1-2. All right. And possibly, even how the, Browns surprisingly beat the Panthers back in week 1, which I'm still somewhat surprised about. But then you also have the Steelers beating the Bengals back in week 1 and the Ravens winning back in week 1. So they all start off 0-1. Last week, all 4 teams lost. And for a moment, just for a moment, I thought maybe, hey, listen, all right, now we're going to start really seeing, other than the Ravens, because that was a crazy 20-point comeback, other than the Bengals, who are starting the season off 0-2, and I told you guys yesterday that among the 0-2 teams, the Bengals still have an opportunity. But we knew coming into this game, obviously someone had to win, right? A division game had to win. And we saw both Jacoby Brissett and Mitchell Trubisky go out there and they play. And they play really good football. Trubisky, 20 for 32, 207 yards, no touchdown passes, and no interceptions. Jacoby Brissett, 21-31, 220 yards. The only difference is of the key, he has 2 touchdown passes with no interceptions. And I told you the key elements of each game is playing fundamental football, right? There's 2 things in order to win a football game that you have to succeed. One, you have to have a good defense, and the Steelers didn't have TJ Watt, which I think was a big chip that the Browns, was able to succeed at, because that allowed guys like Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and even Jacoby Brissett to run the ball. And that's the key number 2. You have to be able to establish the run game. And so with Nick Chubb, hey, 23 carries, 113 yards, 1 touchdown, averaged about 5 yards. Kareem Hunt, 12 carries, about 47 yards, and about 4 yards a carry. You take a look at Pittsburgh and what they were able to accomplish. Najee Harris, 15 carries, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. All right. And then you got Mitchell Trubisky, who ran it in for a touchdown. Chase Claypool didn't really do much. He had 1 carry, 11 yards. So when you look at the run game and you look at the overall team statistics, right, total yards, you look at passing yards and rushing yards. All right, rushing yards, Cleveland went 171 to Pittsburgh's 104. All right, passing was about even, 205 to 204. Now, there was people are exclaiming of how good Amir Cooper is with the Browns, and listen, Amir Cooper is going to be a key opponent to the Browns' success, especially in the passing game. But I told you the 2 clear things in order to win a football game is the defense and then that run game. And Cleveland Brown last night. Now, I didn't get a chance to catch the entire game. Matter of fact, on the NFL Network, I was able to catch about the first. It was bits and pieces, right? Because they had the condensed, solidified game on the NFL Network, probably around like 12:30, about the same time I went to go lay down. And you saw, just drives after drives after drives with Cleveland. They were able to establish the run game, and that gave Jacoby Brissett an opportunity at being Jacoby Brissett. I mean, this is a kid, he's 6'4", 235. He's from NC State. He's played, his career. It's kind of been all over the place. He's been with the Steelers for some time. Well, not the Steelers. I'm sorry. He's been with the Patriots. He's also played in a few playoff games with them. Been with the Dolphins, the Colts for this longest time. There's nothing too average. He is a backup quarterback. 63 games. He started in 40 of those 63 games. He's completed 788 out of 1,300 attempts, 8,338 yards. So he's averaging about 6.5 yards a play. I mean, there's nothing, he's sacked 110 times total in his career. And gosh, man, who's going to get sacked more first, Joe Burrow or Jacoby Brissett? Maybe he's a big dude. He's a dude that doesn't look like he's capable of being an NFL quarterback. I mean, he's a play. I mean, just being just getting the chance to actually look at the size of Jacoby Brissett. I mean, yeah, nothing against him, but at the age of 29, 7 years experience, he's been a veteran, and that's why the Browns have him. And if the Browns can hold on to him for a couple, listen, you just got to get through December, and the way that he's performing, there's no reason why the Browns can't at least be 500. And if the Browns could go into a Thanksgiving break being at 500, playing 500 football, then there's no doubt about that Deshaun Watson could come in and put the run for the money with Cleveland and have a postseason opportunity. Over there in Pittsburgh, I don't know. I don't quite know. It's I didn't get a chance to hear a lot of things coming out of Pittsburgh. All I know is that the fans want Kenny Pickett, and Steelers are still sticking with Mitchell Trubisky. Didn't have a bad game last night. Okay, at least when it comes out of quarterback comparisons, this was an even matchup with quarterback stats. Mitchell Trubisky has had opportunities with teams like Chicago Bears and failed, Buffalo Bills and failed, and Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I don't know what is holding the Steelers back from having Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback. Now, I've always believed that my belief system, and I think it's just very simple, that these quarterbacks, these rookie quarterbacks, they need to have the first half of the season with a veteran quarterback, preferably the last quarterback that's headed out of that team, okay? Just like a Ben Roethlisberger or when Andy Dalton left. I firmly believe that they need to have that time of experience on their first half of the season with these veteran quarterbacks. And that way they're capable of having themselves some sort of formation or some sort of format and kind of guidance to success. I mean, why is Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars struggling so much? Justin Fields and the Bears struggling so much. They didn't have that quarterback prior to that to kind of step in, teach them that team organization's football way, the ins and outs, and just how the NFL is going to be. Because the NFL, although a lot of people say that it's becoming very similar to the NCAA, well, let me tell you something, all right? There's not many teams putting up 50, 60, 70 points against their opponents each and every week. Matter of fact, there's not many teams that are blowing out their team, their opponents 63-0, like we saw this past weekend, and like we'll probably see again this weekend. So the NFL is still very, very well different than NCAA football. But all right. So that was Thursday Night Football. My take on that, the Bengals are getting ready this weekend to face the Jets at MetLife Stadium. Remember what happened last time wasn't so great. Hopefully things can change, and there's key importance on why the NFL, why the Bengals need to win week number 3. Key importance, especially for playoff pitchers early on in the season. We'll still that and still more to come, taking you guys up until noon here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Sometimes we act like a fool, not aware we're troublemakers. Sometimes we try to be cool, not be.
Alrighty. Gosh, this week is flying by already. Today's flying by already. Already 10:43 on a Friday morning, wrapping up our week. Want to mention Al also about last night's game. Amari Cooper, back-to-back 100-yard game with the first time since 2016 with the Raiders. Last Browns receiver could go back-to-back 100 yards in a game is Josh Gordon back in 2013. You know, the Bengals are getting ready to face the New York Jets. The Bengals are going to be facing, and I believe this is going to be the first time that Joe Flacco will be facing this new New York Jets team. And I'm actually excited. You know, last time out in New York just didn't turn out the same way. And week 3 is here. The Bengals are 0-2. And I've talked about all this week. Is it time to hit the panic button if you're the Bengals? And I think either way that you saw the game last night, and I think what's scary is that deep down, you know that Pittsburgh is most likely better than the Browns. But last night you saw the Browns beat the Steelers, and it kind of feels as if, okay, well, I think we have to hit the panic button. Not hit the panic button, but okay, now the Browns are the team that are 2-1. You know, I'm honestly satisfied with the Steelers losing last night. You know, I know that there's going to probably be conflict throughout the year, but let's be realistic. The Ravens, we know that if they could get their stuff together, and they're working on a deal with Lamar Jackson, and I hope, you know, and listen, I hope that they could get a deal with Lamar Jackson. I think he deserves a payday. I mean, if he can continue playing the way he's playing, he could have a comeback year. There's no doubt about it, realistically. All right. So hopefully that payday comes very soon. I don't know how much longer throughout the year is that before you decide, hey, let's re-sign Lamar Jackson, let him finish off his career in Baltimore. But Ravens are going to be over in New England, right? We know Bill Belichick at home. It's always going to be a frustrating game. And, you know, with the comeback that the Dolphins had last week, I don't know if the Patriots could do that. But, I mean, let's give a chance. I mean, there's that hurricane that's coming up through the East Coast. Hopefully it's supposed to definitely be past us by then. So the weather probably going to be decent matter of time. But Ravens and New England, that's going to be a fun game. This game coming up here between the Jets and the Bengals. I mean, I wouldn't say it's time to hit the panic button, like I mentioned, but it's time for the Bengals. This is a must win at this moment already. In week number 3, a must win against the Jets on the road. Because then you have Miami Dolphins, who had a comeback, who start the season off 2-0. They will be facing the Bills on Sunday, so that's going to be an already nail biter. Okay, because I mean, if the Bills could come back from 2-0, and I know how dangerous the Bills are, and I'm probably never going to go against the Bills in this one, but the Bills are in Miami, so if any team that can beat the Bills in that East, it's going to be the Dolphins. So this is going to be a really good game, a really good weekend, also, to say the least. All right, so okay, 1 week at a time. All right, because I could always focus on Thursday Night Football next week, where the Bengals take on the Miami Dolphins at home, by the way. But I don't want to we're not hitting panic buttons yet. I do get concerned, though, and I do get worried and possibly hit the panic button come Monday if the Cincinnati Bengals cannot beat the New York Jets in New York this Sunday. You dropping from 0-2 to 0-3, while the Ravens and while at least while the Browns are sitting 2-1, possibly the Ravens also, if they could beat the Patriots. Now you're 2.5 games back. There's still 2 games back from the division. And Jacoby Brissett just showed everyone that, hey, he can contend even with the bad teams. And I don't think that the Browns have a terrible schedule that you possibly can't go 5-5. I mean, he's already beat the Panthers. He's already beat the Steelers. So don't hit the panic button yet, but I think it's time that, if the urgency of winning is key, that means lack of sacks. All right, you need to have that offensive line protection. You need to have obviously your defense is on the roll. There's nothing wrong with the Bengals defense. All right, Bengals defense very well. All right, you got to think about it. They're going to allow up points, and that's given. All right, 10 to 20 points. I think in a game is perfect. The offense's job is to establish the run game, which they haven't been able to do because of the offensive line, and then be able to have Joe Burrow sitting in that pocket long enough to throw the ball because that offensive line. And when you, as a quarterback, know that my offensive line is supposed to be good and it's not as good as we think it or as we expected it to be, you kind of have that mentality in your head, at least in my opinion, where you start wondering. All right, maybe you start panicking under pressure, right in the pocket, because it's like, all right, now I know I got to get the ball off in 2 seconds. That's not enough time for these receivers to get off into their routes. And so, I know that the Bengals say that they're not panicking. I know that Joe Burrow is saying that they're not panicking, but are they panicking a little bit? I mean, does Joe Burrow, what is going through Burrow's head when he's when he's under center or he's in shotgun and he knows that offensive line, or here's the thing. You just don't know what that offensive line is going to give you that snap. And you have a play that needs to develop. So what are you going to do? All right. Joe Burrow is one of those guys right now. He hasn't been really loose, but in the pocket. And what I say by that, he's been what I've seen, he's been stiff. All right, in the last couple of weeks, he's been either staying in the pocket, or when he goes out, he loses thought process. He loses his confidence. All right, so you need a guy that feels comfortable in that pocket. And I think the key thing is having that offensive line protecting. If you know that your offensive line is going to protect you for 4 to 5 seconds, so you can do what you need to do and get the ball off, then I don't think the Bengals have a problem this weekend. All right, let's talking about the Bengals, talking about everything else. Let's get you and breaking down every game that I think is going to win, or every team I think is going to win this week. All right, NFL Week 3 predictions. All right, I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football, which I probably shouldn't have, but I just thought that they were going to win. New Orleans kicking things off with the Saints and the Panthers. Sunday afternoon, Sunday game, 1 p.m. Panthers come in 1-1, and Panthers come in 0-2, and the Saints come in 0-1. I like Jameis Winston. I'm going to say that. I like Jameis Winston. He's 1-1. So I'm going with the Saints. I think that the Saints, I know I went with the Panthers on this one, or for the division. I don't know. I'm starting to give up on Baker Mayfield. I gave him that my second option here, and I took a big leap of faith out, to be honest, on a guy who, didn't play all that bad. He was very versatile. He was one of those quarterbacks who led the Browns to the playoffs. And now you start wondering, all right, if Baker Mayfield can't play worth a snap, then how much of it was actually the Browns? I'm starting to think that way. But I took that leap of faith. I put my faith into Carolina and Baker Mayfield. And I'm starting to question 0-2 against the Saints. And you saw last week's game and how emotional, how intensified that game was with the Saints and the Buccaneers. I'm going Saints week 3. Texans over in Chicago. Texans come into the game 0-1-1 as the Bears go 1-1, losing to the Packers last week. Listen, I don't think that the Bears are going to be anything good this year. I don't think that they're going to have that solid 500 football team, but I do think that they're better than the Texans, especially with Justin Fields. I'm going for the Chicago Bears here this Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs over in Indianapolis, 2-0, taking on 0-1-1. And hey, these next two games I'm about to predict: Kansas City Chiefs, Colts, Bills, Dolphins. The only difference between the Bills and the Chiefs is that the Chiefs going into a team that has not won a game this season. If you tie the game, I consider it a loss. The Chiefs just have, it was told around the league that for the Chiefs to succeed, they need to come in with much more of a chip on their shoulder. And that's how Andy Reid plays each and every week. I'm going Kansas City over the Colts. Sit down, Colts. Bills in Miami. I told you, New England came in a couple weeks ago and faced the Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium. All right. The Bills are that next level. All right. They're 2-0 as well as the Dolphins. I'll give them credit. And no one can take back the 2-0, the 20-point deficit against the Ravens last week. But the Bills annihilated the Tennessee Titans, exposing them for what they're worth. And I mean, Buffalo Bills walk away with this one. I feel at ease. Now I got the Bills on top of that AFC East. But the biggest thing I have is who's going to finish off in second. And I don't think the Steelers or the Patriots are going to finish off second in that division. I think the Dolphins are going to hang in there. Matter of fact, the way the Dolphins are playing, if they can hang in there all season, they got a wild card position. Lions in Minnesota, both 1-1. I was very impressed with the Lions. It's been frustrating to root for the Lions and on winning a game. The fact that they have a better record than the Bengals surprised me. But I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. Detroit's never been good on the road. And this is just kind of like a lose-lose game. Because it's an up in the air game. It's a divisional game. Any team can win. And you got to think about this. Chicago's 1-1. Green Bay, I believe, is also 1-1. I'll check on that. Green Bay's 1-1. So the entire NFC North is 1-1. So this one has a really good. And one team is going to probably be left behind in this one. All right, coming also. Here at 1:00 this Sunday, the Ravens taking on the Patriots. Both teams coming to the series 1-1. Bill Belichick, you can never go against Bill Belichick in Gillette Stadium, but you got to say, Lamar Jackson had an incredible game last week, even though they lost. I'm going Baltimore over New England. Just my pick and a personal pick there. Another 1:00 game. I told we talk about the Bengals. Being over in New York to face the Jets, 0-2. Like I said, no panic buttons hidden, but those Bengals have to win the game, especially after seeing Cleveland win. I think that they come up with a victory this Sunday against the Jets, who are 1-1. Don't get me wrong, Joe Flacco, I really like the style that they're playing lately. I just don't know if it's enough to get it done. Las Vegas over in Tennessee, both 0-2. The problem I see now, hey, listen, Oakland picked up a offensive lineman, something that they needed to do. I get that. Tennessee was really exposed last Monday. I want to say that they want to put their heads between their legs and really just knock out and show people wrong. But Las Vegas has a better chance of winning this game. I'm going Raiders over Tennessee. Philadelphia over in Washington for Sunday at FedEx Field. That's a 1:10 game also. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Philadelphia Phillies to Jalen Hurst. Listen, it's I don't know. I don't know if I want to jump on that wagon with the Eagles fans. But with Dak Prescott out, we don't know. He's a week-to-week basis. Washington Commanders played all right, but I like those Philadelphia Eagles here. All right, 4 o'clock games coming up. Jacksonville in Los Angeles facing the Chargers. I'm going Chargers in this one. I know Justin Herbert is kind of banged up, but I think that the Chargers have a better team than Jacksonville. The only thing I'm going to say on this one, the only reason why Jacksonville is would win this game is that they could go lights out and Trevor Lawrence could beat Justin Herbert 1-on-1. The Rams in Arizona, first divisional matchup. Listen, week 1 was against the Bills. Was a dud. They came back, handled business against the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to come in and beat the Arizona. They're going to come in and beat the Arizona Cardinals. So give me the 49ers on this one on the road. Atlanta's over in Seattle. I was very impressed at how Seattle played last weekend against San Francisco. Also 2 weeks ago against Detroit, against Denver. Okay. Atlanta's 0-2. I say Seattle's going to win this one. Walking in easily, plus it's in Seattle. All right, Green Bay and Tampa Bay. A big, tough game here. Tampa Bay. Tom Brady has every weekend off, or every Wednesday off, to say the most part. But so Tampa Bay over Green Bay. I'm still worried about Aaron Rodgers and his young wide receivers that he has to deal with. On the road, I feel like it's going to be much more of a struggle. On at home, I feel like it's going to be a much better chance. If this was a home game for Aaron Rodgers, I say Aaron Rodgers may have a possibility. Now, Tampa Bay doesn't have Mike Evans, but I still think that Tampa Bay Buccaneers could beat Aaron Rodgers, especially being at home. I'm choosing Tampa Bay to win this one. All righty, San Francisco over in Denver. Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo gets a start on the season after Trey Lance goes down with the season-ending surgery that he needed for an ankle injury. And I'll tell you this one, I really believe now with Jimmy Garoppolo behind the center here in San Francisco, they're going to beat up on those Broncos at the Mile High Stadium in Power Field at Mile High in Denver, Colorado. All right, coming up on Sunday night football game. Well, that was the Sunday night football game. Coming up on Monday night football game before we hit to our break, Cowboys in New York. I don't know if Dak Prescott is cleared to play Monday night. Okay, give him an extra day. If he's cleared to play Monday night, then I'm choosing the Cowboys. The Cowboys won last time outing 21-6 back on December 18th last year. I don't know. I'm going to take a bold prediction. I'm going with the Giants in this one. They're in New York, and I like the Giants in the favor for this one. So that is my week 3 picks for this week. And I know we're kind of come back past on time. So yeah, let's cut to a break, wrap up of hour number 1 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. We'll come back. We'll talk some college sports, some high school sports, get you ready for the weekend in Major League Baseball. NHL begins this weekend as well. Get you a couple games. Also, a little sneak preview of this week, tonight's SmackDown and Dynamite. Hour number 2 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel coming up next. Alrighty. The Throw In with Justin here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel is produced by thanks to StreamYard Studios. Create your podcast, YouTube videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. Love using their product. Thank you, StreamYard, for providing such simple product for us to use here on each and every day basis. Welcome back to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Hour number 2 of the Throw-In with Justin on this beautiful Friday. Time is flying by. And yeah, hey, a lot of sports going on. We got NBA kicking up next week. as well. You got NHL that begins Saturday tomorrow. Hey, Senators and Maple Leafs have a doubleheader. Boston Bruins and Philadelphia Flyers coming up at 7 o'clock tomorrow, and the St. Louis Blues taking on the Arizona Coyotes. If you guys are looking to, NHL. Listen, this is my take on the NHL. I'll watch it from time to time. I've been to a couple of Cincinnati Cyclones games. I want to go to a couple more of this coming up year, so I'm excited for that. Just the atmosphere alone in when it comes down to hockey, I feel it's just about going out there and having a good time. The Anaheim Ducks taking on the Arizona Coyotes, because I am a Anaheim Ducks fan, believe it or not. And they kick off 5 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. as well. Kings over and the Sharks, just a couple of games to look at. 7 p.m. Hey, Sunday, 7 p.m. The Columbus Blue Jackets kick off their preseason games against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They don't begin regular play until October 14th, October 12th, as a matter of fact. So coming up here in just a few weeks as we get ready for NHL. NBA starts their preseason next week. We'll talk about that as well. Coming up on Monday, Cincinnati FC, as we get to MLS. They play next Tuesday against Seattle, and playoff implications arise. We'll talk a little bit about soccer coming up next week as well. President's Cups. U.S. takes control early as they bring into day number 2. I believe they've already started. U.S. is 4-1. Scoring summary, points needed. So Joseph Smith, and Justin Thomas. So just teeing off at for U.S. at 11:35, and then we have Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns teeing off at 11:50. 12:05 is Kevin Kisner and Cameron Young. Patrick Cantley and Alexander Schauffele, and I apologize if I butchered those names, at 12:20. At 12:35 later on today, you got Billy Horschel and Mac Homa teeing off over there as well. All right. Hey, listen, NCAA football is back, week number 3 as we begin underway, or week number 4, I'm sorry, as we get underway here in NCAA college football games. Take a look at some of the ranking games. Obviously, Georgia's number 1, Alabama number 2, both playing unranked. Kent State and Vanderbilt, Wisconsin's over in Ohio State. Nothing right now too impressive. A key game I'm watching here, Clemson taking on Wake Forest. That's coming up on Sunday at high noon. They'll be at Wake Forest talking about some games here. Let me pull up all of my list. Whew. This is one thing. I'm not a big fan of college football. One thing I don't like is that last week there was a couple of good winners. Let's kick off with last week real quick. Last week you got Kentucky, number 9 Kentucky, shutting out Youngstown State 31-30 on nothing. Right now, since Cincinnati, we've been following Cincinnati Bearcats so far this year, and since Cincinnati is not ranked under any means or stretch, all right, Kentucky's the next team to go. Cincinnati beat Miami, Ohio, moving to 2-1, 38-17 last week. A key game that I thought was a big highlight of the weekend, Notre Dame picking up their first victory over California, 24-17, and then Washington beating Michigan State 39-28, and then number 25 Oregon beat number 12 BYU 41-20, and then number 14 Texas A&M beats number 13 Miami 17-9. Top 10 here, Alabama. Well, top key opponents moving forward. Number 1 is Georgia. Alabama sits at number 2. Number 3 is So Ohio State, followed by Michigan at number 4. Oklahoma State at number 8. 15 is Tennessee, Baylor. These are all games that were blown out. When I talk about that, 48-7, 63-7, 77-21, 59-0, 63-7. Oklahoma State beat their opponent. Tennessee beat 63-6. And man, it's kind of one of those things where it's a blowout. You could kind of sit back and watch and then kind of just tune into the next game. Top 10 coming into this game this week. Georgia's sitting at number 1, followed by Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson at number 5, Oklahoma at number 6, USC at number 7, Kentucky moved up to number 8, Oklahoma State number 9, and Arkansas number 10. Non-ranked Washington sits at number 18 after beating Michigan State. Oregon State moved up 10 points from number 15 to number 15, excuse me. And then BYU drops down 7 points, dropping down to number 19. Miami with a drops down 12, barely staying in the top 25, sitting at number 25 here in the NCAA rankings. All right, let's take a look at some of the games as I scroll through this list, because I want to talk about some of the games. Alabama, Georgia, looking to pick up a victory this weekend, playing Kent State, Vanderbilt. Mentioned already. Michigan may have a little trouble with Maryland, but expected them to beat them coming at number 4. All right. Ohio State playing Wisconsin should be a walk through the park. First team, ranked teams, Clemson, number 5, taking on number 21, Wake Forest. Now, I apologize for saying this for any Wake Forest fans, but Clemson is one of those teams who could be in it for 1 year, be out of it for 5, be in it again. All right. Surprisingly, Clemson's ranked high again, and they've shown why they are just that good. Clemson takes over Wake Forest, I believe, strongly believe, and may knock out Wake Forest out of the top 25. All right. Oklahoma at number 8, playing against Kansas State. South California is on the road at USC is out there on the road, number 7. Love to see UFC back in the top 10 rankings. Kentucky is playing NIU this weekend. All right. The Huskies kick off 7 p.m. tomorrow. They're 3-0, taking on 1-2 non-ranked team. Number 10, Arkansas, taking on number 23, Texas A&M. Number 20, Florida, taking on number 11, Tennessee. All right. NC State at number 12, taking on UConn. So a couple of key games as I'm scrolling through the list. Obviously, we'll pay attention to Kentucky. All right. They're coming in ranked number 8, taking on NIU. Winning record, undefeated versus non-winning record. Clemson taking on Wake Forest, because I really feel that Clemson's going to win. Florida and Tennessee, I think, is going to be a good game this weekend. Both ranked teams. All right, number 20, Florida, and number 11, Tennessee. And just kind of looking through Stanford and Washington, maybe a good game. We're coming in at number 18 with Washington. BYU and Wyoming, 19 over non-ranked. Duke and Kansas, maybe a good game. The Cincinnati Bearcats, though, they will be facing against Indiana, that are 3-0, 2-1 versus 3-0, 3:30 kickoff. They'll be home in Cincinnati. So that is the game preview to watch. All right, if you're looking for some football this weekend. But hey, listen, all that football is on Saturday night or Saturday throughout the day. What are you going to do with games coming up tonight? Hey, people get off of work early. All right. There are 78 high school football games in the Cincinnati County. All right. And a team that I wanted to talk about first, man, you know, like I mentioned, I had a good friend that brought up the one of Drew Novak's name. He was like, man, you got to check out Drew Novak. He's been one of the best quarterbacks. He's ranked, coming into this season. He has it all, right? So let me find my page because I have him somewhere here and I wanted to share my information. There we go. All right, last week, Drew Novak. All right, he's the starting quarterback out of. He's a starting quarterback out of uh, Western Brown, ranked number 23, who beat Miami Trace 51-14 last week. Listen, just some really good plays last week from Novak Brown. Some guy that you really should keep an eye out. 36-yard pass play for Zachary Crimson, 22 carries, 114 yards, 5.2 average yards a carry with 3 touchdowns. I mean, no, listen, Novak here, 62.5% passing completions, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Keynotes, he's always calm and collective in the pocket. He's a tall dude, man. I mean, when I say he's a tall dude, he could really overlook all those guys out there in the in the back, and I think that's key in the NFL. Slow motion, man. He looks like he's just taking a sweet time once he's snapping the ball, stepping up to the pocket. Looks really good. Smooth passes, nice and easy. Already knows his a pocket. He visualizes where those runners, those passers are going to be. Makes easy connections. And I love a guy like Drew Novak. Thank you, Steve Barber from Armchair Booking Podcast, for giving me that information on Novak. Looking into last week, Beechwood lost their 27th, lost their game, ending the 27th game win streak over Covington Catholic, 31-14. Now, out of that game, there was a guy, all right, won 4 of the last 5 games for Catholic. All right, Willie Rodriguez, like I said, junior, 6'4", 210 pounds, class of 24. He was a receiver and linebacker. All right, 5 catches, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. This guy is a massive dude. I'll tell you. Gosh. And he's a receiver. He specializes in the NFL. All right, games in high school this week in our area. Number 1, Archbishop Moeller taking on number 25, LaSella in Cincinnati, Ohio. Number 24, Hamilton will take on number 2, Lakota West. All right, and West Chester, Ohio. And number 5, St. Xavier taking on number 3, Elder. First game, Aiken taking on Hughes. Starts at 6:30 tip-off. Also, some other weekly stuff. Second weekly, bringing it in here, Ohio State School Athletic Association released an official weekly football computer ratings on Tuesday. All right. Coming in out of all the school Division 1, coming in at Division 1, Lakewood State 4-1, all that stuff. You guys can check on the Max Prep report online. Greatest yardage. There's just some great reports there. This is where I'm getting all my games. Haven't been able. I usually work on Friday nights. Don't get a chance to get out to some of these games that are really ranked. Like Mason and Lakota East, number 12 versus number 17. I'm coming back through Princeton versus Fairfield, number 6 and number 7 ranked. Fairfield comes in 1 behind Princeton's, but they're 5-0 compared to the 4-1 Princeton. Number 24 Hamilton, Lakota West. Talked about that already. I'm going to kind of run down here. I kind of want to, before we cut to break, look at where these guys are playing this week. So in my area, I'm looking at Beechwood. They finally lost against Covington Catholic last week, and I'm kind of upset. But nonetheless, number 23. You want to look at and want something to do tonight. If you want something to do tonight, you want to go look at Drew Novak, who I encourage you guys to go look at and watch. Number 23, Western Brown, who's 4-1 on the season, takes on New Richmond, who's 5-0. Really good matchup, even though it's not ranked. Take a look at them. Jump in if you are around town. Go check out their game. Always great to watch some of these football games unfold. Let me look for Dixie Heights taking on Highland, both 3-2. Listen, I'm telling you, I'm scrolling through these games. Sometimes they can be deceiving on how these games were. That's all I can figure out right now. I'm going to look through the break. where Beechwood, I mean, they may have the week off, as well as Covington Catholic, but all high school football, plenty of high school football, plenty of college football to talk about, and all of that still to come. All right. Major League Baseball, the Reds fell short to the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll get you guys ready for the 3 games for the rest of the series beginning tonight against the Brewers. Plus, we'll get you into some MLB playoff pictures, weekend games that we're looking forward to. Also, some takes on SmackDown and AEW still to come, taking you up until high noon here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Brewers have the first base runner of the ball game.
Colton Wong stands in, 1 on, nobody out.
High drive, deep right field, off the bat of Colton Wong, and way gone. Colton Wong, an elevated fastball at 98, turned on it and sent it way out of here. Colton's 13th home run of the season, and the Brewers out in front 2-0.
Payoff down. New pitcher into the game. Hunter Green done after 5. Dowry Beretta just walked Rowdy Tellez.
1-0 pitch, a high fly ball into center, but playable. Ciani broke back initially, comes in a few steps, makes the catch. And there's one away for Colton Wong. And now Wong blisters one down the right field line. This is up and gone. Colton Wong off the top of the fence, and it got out again. Second 2-run home run of the ball game. 4-0 Brewers.
We just talked about Colton Wong be able to cover that pitch up in the zone. Heater right here. What a great swing again. How quick are his hands? Gets on top of this one. It's an absolute linea. A seed out of here. Big insurance run for the Brewers.
First time the leadoff batter aboard. First time tonight the Reds have had their leadoff man on base. See if they can do something with it here.
Runner goes, swinging a fly ball, shallow right. Long run, Renfroe. He'll make the catch. They're going to get a double play out of it. That will help Brandon Woodruff in spades. The Reds try and go hit and run, and a big league deke at second base. Renfroe able to make the catch and then fire into Rowdy Tellez. Brandon Woodruff back out there on the mound. 11 strikeouts, third straight game with 10 or more for Brandon Woodruff.
Now Kyle Farmer bats. Nobody on, 2 out.
Rock to left field. Yelich watches. Gone. A stiff solo shot from Kyle Farmer. And the Reds have their first run. It's 4-1.
RBI number 71 for Kyle Farmer. Gets the Reds on the board. And it's the Reds' first hit since the second. It is 4-1 Milwaukee.
Woodruff has been coasting through this lineup. And that's a four-seamer. Kyle Farmer. Oh, on man.
2 quick outs for Colton Wong. 2 home runs for him today. His 6th multi-home run game of his career. And Wong tries one to deep right. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is a fair ball. A 3-homer game for Colton Wong. Have yourself a night, number 16.
A career high in homers, too, with 15. Wow. Talk about being balanced, hand quickness. I mean, he is seeing the ball like a beach ball right now and putting his A swing on it.
Quick feet, quick hands. Number 3 for Wong, his first ever 3-homer game. And he is doing it all for Milwaukee.
Wow.
And now the Reds down to their last out, and it's in the form of Alejo Lopez. Cousins comes setting the pitch. Ground ball to second base. Colton Wong has it. Sets his feet, fires to first. And the Brewers have won their 80th game of the season. And they take game 1 of this 4-game series by a final score of 5-1. Colton Wong, the hero tonight. A 3-home run game, the first in his career. And the crew continues to stay right on the heels of the Phillies in that wild card chase.
All righty. Well, I mean, that is all that needs to be said right there. Kicking off the weekend, not so great, but hopefully things can get a little bit better as we are down to 12 more games in the regular season here for the Cincinnati Reds. I think a lot of people, we really just want the season to be over with, right? I think that's fair to say. But we have to get through a couple more games. We got 3 more to wrap up here against Milwaukee. We got 3 more in Pittsburgh, 3 more home to Chicago, 3 more on the road to Chicago. And I mean, typically last night wasn't a bad night. Yeah, the Reds lost 5-1. Milwaukee, 4 hits, 5 runs on no errors. Cincinnati mustered up in the 1 run in the 6th inning with 4 hits and 1 error. And, Hunter Green, 5 innings, only giving up 2 runs, 2 hits, 3 walks. I think the 3 walks really has said a lot. All right. But you got Kyle Farmer hitting a home run in the 6th inning, making number 13. Offense wasn't there so much tonight. And so the Reds are interplay today, 59-91. Brewers move up to 80 and 70, second in the NL Central. The Reds are 4th in the NL Central. And, the Brewers are in the hunt for the postseason. Right? They're doing everything they can and their will and power just to go after the Philadelphia Phillies in the long stretch. So you have tonight's game that, like I said, taking you into the weekend here. You got Eric Lauer coming up, playing up with Mike Minor for the Cincinnati Reds. Mike Minor's 4-12, 6.06 ERA. Eric Lauer 10-7 on the season, 3.91 ERA. First pitch is at 6:40. Then you got Saturday's game. We got Burns on the mound from Milwaukee. He's 10-8, 3.12 ERA. As Ashcraft, he's 5-3, 3.97 ERA. And then Nick Lodolu is scheduled for Sunday's game at 1:40. He's 4-7, 3.90 ERA, as there's no one scheduled for pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers. And it's a little tough to see how this season's going to end. As I mentioned, handful more games. All right. Tonight, Firework Fridays, post-game fireworks show. If you're in town and want to check out the Reds again, you got Super Saturday Reds team photo giveaway tomorrow night and Fan Appreciation Day on Sunday. And so, we're just trying to wrap up the season. Tough season, long season, ready to wrap up the season for Cincinnati, and that's all to do so coming up here in the next week or two. And it's one of those difficult pills to swallow, because as you're in September, as baseball is winding down, as we establish the playoff implication standings, it's kind of a bittersweet. For someone who enjoys baseball, it's always sad. It's like, did I catch enough baseball games? Did I watch enough? Did I listen to enough? How come there couldn't be more? Did I follow enough? Was I more invested than anything else? So a little complicated, a little emotional here. Around the league, if you guys were looking at baseball yesterday, I told you that the Cardinals and the Padres were a key playoff game. That was an afternoon game. For the Cardinals avoided a sweep, picking up the victory over the Padres 5-4. The Seattle Mariners finally get back on the winning track 9-5 over the Athletics. The Tampa Bay Rays came in and they dominated, putting up 3 runs in the first, 3 runs in the second, 3 runs in the fourth for a 10-5 victory over the Blue Jays. And the Baltimore Orioles shut out the Astros 2-0 to begin their series. And Philadelphia also makes a claim, winning 1-0 against Atlanta. And the game that I think a lot of people were looking out for last night, the Yankees, Aaron Judge, just shy in the 9th inning of hitting his 61 home run on the year. Right? The Yankees did win in 10 innings, 5-4. Got a chance to watch the ending to that game. It was kind of a quiet game for the most part. 4 runs were put up in the 7th by the Red Sox, but couldn't hold on and couldn't win the game. They fall short through a walk-off win in the 10th. Aaron Judge hits a blast with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning just to in the or I want to say with 1 out, I believe, in the inning. He hit that long ball, and I think when that ball was hit, you almost knew that it was just inches. You hit it to the deepest part of the field if it wasn't leaving the ballpark, and it was caught for an out. The Cleveland Guardians once again beating the White Sox, I believe, taking the series and sweeping them. They move it to 83-69, and the White Sox fall short to 76-64. Around the standings here so far, right, heading into today, heading into this weekend, the Yankees clinched the playoffs last night. They got 6 games remaining before they could clinch the division. 7.5 game lead above Toronto, followed by Tampa Bay. 1 game before the Baltimore Orioles are eliminated from the East. Cleveland Guardians are making their claim, winning the last 4 games this week. Moving out in front, 7 games above the White Sox. Minnesota lost their last 4. They've moved back to 10 games, 3 games from elimination. Their next game is today against the Angels. The Astros winning their division, obviously, with Seattle looking out. The Mets and the Braves still look on a 1.5 game apart difference from each other, both on losing streaks as of heading into tonight. New York is at Oakland, the Mets playing the Athletics, while the Braves continue their 4-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Cardinals, who avoided a sweep over the Padres this week, heads up north to LA in a 3-game battle, sitting at 88-63. Milwaukee 7.5 games back, 5 games away from elimination there. The Dodgers and Padres are looking to stay alive as that division stands. So you got the Astros, Yankees, and Cleveland as those 2-3 leaders in the division. Toronto holds on a 1.5 games in the wild card, a game above Tampa Bay. Seattle holds that 3rd wild card spot with the Baltimore Orioles just 4 games out. The White Sox moved to 6.5 games out over there. Also, over in the National League, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Cardinals are all leading the division. The Braves, comfortable 10.5 games up, a 0.5 game ahead of the Phillies is the Padres, and Milwaukee on the outside looking in, just 2.5 games back over Philadelphia. So a weekend to come up and to remember. We kick things off a nighttime game. Every game's an evening game here. The Cubs and Pirates tonight. We also have the 3-game series, the 4-game series continuing with the Brewers and the Reds. If you're looking for games to watch, I'll tell you this. All right, it's going to be hard to watch all those games at once. A lot of back-to-back games right off the bat. Braves and Phillies, Yankees. Well, Yankees are looking for Aaron Judge. I just tune into that game when Aaron Judge is that bad. And then Toronto Blue Jays and the Rays. So Toronto, Tampa Bay, Braves, and Phillies, both at 7:05. All right. Then you got Cleveland and Texas looking to seal that deal and that central up. Then you got, I'm just looking through the list here. Right now, 3 key games. You want to tune into the Guardians game to see where that is at. You want to tune into the Mets game, but I think, you want to maybe tune into the Orioles game and the Padres game. But I think it's more important. There's going to be 2 games that if you really want to look for a playoff implications, Blue Jays, Rays, Braves, Phillies, and then the Cardinals and Dodgers, which is tonight. Cardinals trying to hold on to that central there. And the Cardinals and the Dodgers, Albert Pujols coming back through, making his last trip to LA. Just kind of all wanting to watch those games. So a couple games coming on. That's going to be later on this afternoon, heading into the weekend. A lot of great games still to come. All right, let's take our last break of the show. We'll come back and we'll wrap things up, talking a little bit about SmackDown tonight and AEW Rampage as Grand Slam continues All that still to come, taking you guys up until noon here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All the music here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel is given to you thanks to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. All righty, wrapping up here on a Friday morning. We will be back 9 a.m. Monday morning to get you all the highlights and caught up in sports on a busy sports weekend. Reds and Brewers, the Bearcats taking on Indiana, NIU taking on Kentucky, high school football tonight. Don't forget the Bengals taking on the New York Jets as well. In the NHL begins this weekend, but we can't forget and leave this show off of professional wrestling. Always trying to find that one or two segments in the world of wrestling that we could kind of give to you and bring you some nice information. And earlier this week, we saw an incredible 2-hour, on Wednesday night of Grand Slam of actions where we saw Jon Moxley become the new AEW World Champion. Chris Jericho becoming the new Ring of Honor TV Champion. Okay, the Acclimate becomes the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. And Saraya debuting on Dynamite. Now that carries over into a special edition of AEW Rampage, a 2-hour edition, where FTW champion Hook and Action Bronson versus Jericho Appreciation Society, Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. They also continue things up with a grudge match between Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara, where, in my opinion, Eddie Kingston's facing off a young, talented guy proves that he can still be in the ring with a lot of these younger guys. Sammy Guevara, on the other hand, listen, someone I think needs to set him straight. He's that teenager attitude kid, probably can already expect some sort of outside interference. Hopefully not, but you like to see good matches. And I know Kingston and Sammy, both one-on-one, will be a good spread for each other. You have a TBS title match. Jade Cargill taking on Dynamic. You got All Out 2022 rematch between Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks tonight. We also have no disqualification with Darby Allin and Sting taking on the House of Black, Brody King and Buddy Matthews. Also, let's not forget, Jungle Boy takes on Rey Fenix one-on-one in a match. You got Champions United, TNT champion Wardlow and Ring of Honor World TV champion Samoa Joe takes on the Technical Beast, Josh Woods and Tony Nese, with the smart Mark Sterling at ringside. Also, taking a golden ticket battle royale. The winner will hold a future world title shot to face Jon Moxley. That is set to come as well. You'll have Penta El Zero guys entering in. Sanchez Penta, John Silver, Evil Uno, Rush, Hangman Adam Page. And so we have fulfilled 2 hours of AEW Rampage tonight. that continues and wraps up Grand Slam. Probably not as big. Very impactful. Probably not as big as you would expect it from Dynamite, but separations to be full. There's still a lot of stories to be told heading into tonight as Grand Slam wraps off their week in AEW. Take a look over on SmackDown because you have Roman Reigns returning to his rightful place at the table. And, every few weeks, Roman Reigns returns. Obviously, there's going to be an issue statement wanting to face Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. And, the Usos, they will have their hands full tonight facing the Brawling Brutes in tag team action for those tag team titles. Braun Strowman makes an impact to face Otis tonight in a return match against Otis. So he will actually be in a match, his first match coming back. So our hands are pretty full for what's to expect coming from Friday Night SmackDown. So in all honesty, what can we expect? With Solo Sikoa dropping that North American Championship, is he going to be on SmackDown with the Bloodline this week? Is he going to have that fair share of opportunity? Is he going to be judged or ostracized for not having that title? Or is he only a guy that's going to fill in whenever Roman Reigns is not there? Solo Sikoa is a new member of the Bloodline as of recent. And we just had the Clash of the Castles not too long ago, where Solo Sikoa made his debut with the Bloodline. So my question is what is the role for Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa together? Are them two on the same page and the standards of having to hold gold with the Bloodline? Solo Sikoa doesn't have the gold at this moment. So it's always, it's still fascinating. It's still intriguing to see what comes out, what's new, what has to be done with Roman Reigns. But let me ask you this. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. But do you feel any, is there any staleness to the Bloodline and their story? I don't feel like it's really taken off anywhere or there's a new chapter to get excited about. It's very stale. It's like eating a saltine cracker. It just doesn't seem right. The Brawling Brutes aim for tag team gold in battle against the Usos. They had an incredible fatal four-way tag team match last week. And, what I saw last week was the simplex, the difference of the new teams and formats and the fractions that they have in the WWE. Obviously, they're still building. Do I see the Brawling Brutes winning tag team gold? No, I don't think so. Would I like them to win tag team gold? I think with the help that the tag team division needs, it's very important that the tag team titles change hands, only because, as I mentioned earlier this week to each and every one of you, that the Brawling Brutes, or not the Brawling Brutes, but that the tag team division needs help, and the Usos and the Bloodline does not need any titles to win or to make their name. They've already done that. They've already established themselves. So just where is for me, I would like to see the Brawling Brutes and the titles change hands. Will we see that on SmackDown? Probably not. Will we see that Extreme Rules? Most likely not. So we're sitting tight, waiting for the next thing to come. Until then, until you prove me wrong. And then last but not least, Braun Strowman looks to make his explosive impact in return match against Otis. We finally get to see Braun Strowman in the ring. I don't know if it's anything special. He gets to do it against Otis. And I love this combination. I think a lot of people forget about how strong and how versatile Otis can be inside that ring. And to finally see him go up against a man his size or bigger who can go toe-to-toe with them, there's a lot of room in this match for some messy slip-ups. I will say that. It's been a while since Braun Strowman's been in a match on WWE, and Otis, these are two big guys. It's easy to mess up on something. But I will say that is, you look forward to Braun being in a match. Just, do you like the way that his return has been in the WWE? I'm not quite convinced. Kind of taking a little slower start than anticipated. And it has me sitting on water on how much patience do you have. But hey, I digress. We'll see what happens tonight, and we're looking forward to that. So plenty of sports coming around to you this weekend between wrestling, football, baseball, and now even hockey. NBA and soccer, we'll be talking about that next week. Like I said, want to hopefully the Reds can pick up a victory as they needed to begin this week, and we're interested in watching that game. All right, that is all the time we have for us on this episode of The Throw-In. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again Monday morning to recap all the sports underway. Until then, I'm Justin. Thank you guys for listening. You guys have yourself a wonderful rest of your day from the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.